Welcome, Slayers, to another episode of DARKTIMES Debriefed, your behind-the-scenes look at how the ultimate Brawler Royale is being built. These updates are based directly on the internal development logs. They're raw, unfiltered, and designed to give you a clearer view into what's happening during each sprint. DARKTIMES has been in development since 2022 in partnership with Blowfish Studios, a team with deep experience shipping high-quality games. This episode covers the 2-week sprint ending on Friday the 16th of May, 2025, and includes build versions 16.1 and 16.2. Starting with 3D art, there were a few big visual issues in combat. First, root motion on the third hit of the combo wasn't playing. That move pushes the character forward, but the animation curve wasn't triggering. We'll need to sync with dev to make sure that motion is triggered correctly after the second hit. Client side. Weapon hand placement was another major focus. The hierarchy for Old Man, Woman, Hunter, and Huntress was corrected, and those characters now hold weapons facing the right way. Finer tuning is still needed. We also tested inverse kinematics, and while it fixes some things, it creates new problems without extra work. One blocker here, the block move is still buggy. It's inconsistent. And because our movement speed layers are so fragile, it's hard to debug cleanly. Also, the cosmetic system is a house of cards. Even small changes can break the entire rig. Still, weapon tuning is progressing, and we're aiming to land a stable fix next sprint. Game design also saw solid movement. The team worked on validating and tuning player attributes. Right now, players can increment and decrement values in loadout, but we needed to make sure those changes actually applied in-game. The point-buy system and modifier logic are now hooked up and under review. Fatigue and stamina were also clarified. The design doc has been updated to make those interactions more readable and predictable. The major win here? Attribute changes are now applying and saving correctly. But one major blocker remains. Not all attributes are fully functional. Strength and fatigue seem to work, but others don't appear to do anything yet. Over to the lead developer. This sprint focused on throwing players and getting the physics to behave. The hold, throw, and strength logic is now being refined. Previously, throw used 3 separate animation curves, but we're simplifying to 2. That should eliminate animation conflicts. Strength syncing is also being fixed to work cleanly with the server. Now that the recovery glitch from last sprint is fixed, we're finalizing the get-up state. Next, executions are being wired in, so that throw conditions can trigger execution logic on the server side. The major win this sprint, throwing ragdolls, is finally starting to look good. But one major blocker remains. We're still working out how to release the ragdoll at the right time and from the correct player controller. Collision layers also need cleanup, otherwise thrown players can get stuck on the thrower's head, and leaving throw mode requires an animation trigger and legacy logic reset. We're mapping out that whole flow now. Senior developer updates are next. First, root motion again. The third hit in the combo wasn't matching animation curves. That was caused by conflicting behaviors across idle, run, and walk states. We're reviewing all of those transitions to pinpoint the entry condition. Second, hit reactions. Heavy hits weren't triggering proper knockback because the root motion wasn't baked into the animation. That caused sliding and offset issues. We've identified the base transform and are resolving that now. The loot goblin was also disappearing too quickly. Its timer was incorrectly set across some scenes. That's being corrected. Major win. We got predictive hit reactions in. Originally, they were at risk of being cut, but they massively improved the gameplay feel. One blocker remains. Syncing animations across the right player, client, and server is still tedious and fragile. QA tested both builds extensively across multiple setups and conditions. In build 16.1, we hit an issue where the level wouldn't update on the play screen. Weapon sheaths were still broken, single-hand weapons sat awkwardly on the back, and shield placement wasn't consistent. Throwing the barrel still breaks the game, causing items to launch into the sky. Cosmetic clipping also continues, especially around the arms. And the big discovery: player behavior changes based on network configuration. Testing from home versus in-office showed different movement behavior, likely linked to differences in VPN, Ethernet, and Wi-Fi conditions. A new edge case was also found. When player 2 approaches the zombie near the far right ice wall, they'll slip and die after the zombie finishes its attack animation. That one's being replicated now. In build 16.2, we confirmed fixes for inventory item behavior, menu timer bugs, player movement tightness, hunter cloak and body separation, mammoth F possession, loot goblin despawn, weapon pickup animations, stamina timing, and character selection screen pose. That's a solid list, but a few issues stuck around. Ranked and unranked matchmaking still doesn't work, likely queue or back-end related. Root motion on the third combo hit is still inconsistent. Weapon sheaths are still off, two-handers and shields are sitting way too low, with their pivots seemingly near the lower back. And when throwing the barrel, weapons still jump above the character's head. On-hit animations are technically working, but only the attacker sees the correct animation. The defender just slides back without a proper stagger. Overall, this sprint saw progress across root motion syncing, physics transitions, throwing polish, cosmetics, and server-side tournament stability. Coming up next, inverse kinematics experiments, blend shape support, recovery logic, and fragility fixes across movement and cosmetics. Thanks for watching. Dark Times Debriefed. To join the conversation, head to discord.gg/darktimes. We'll see you next time, Slayers.